So why do some digital tools feel like, I don't know, absolute magic, while others just feel like they're actively fighting against you?
Oh, yeah. We've all been there, right?
Right. You download a new app, and everything just clicks. I mean, the interface is smooth, the buttons are exactly where you expect them to be.
And it doesn't crash when you try to do something slightly weird or unusual.
Exactly. But then you have those other platforms, like the design might actually look stunning, but the functionality is just a total mess.
Or the underlying tech is super robust, but the user interface looks like, a tax spreadsheet from 1998.
Yeah, a 1998 spreadsheet is exactly it. And we usually blame this on like bad coders or lazy designers.
You just assume somebody didn't know what they were doing.
Right. But what if the code is actually perfect and the design is beautiful, but the product still fails entirely just because of, well, how the team's desks are arranged?
It's crazy, but it really forces you to reframe the entire problem because we operate under this assumption that a clunky product is, a talent issue.
Like they just didn't hire the right people.
Yeah, exactly. But more often than not, the individuals working on these failing platforms are highly skilled. I mean, they know their craft.
So the failure isn't in the talent itself.
No, the failure is in the architecture of the collaboration. The structure dictates the outcome.
Wow. Okay, so whether you're leading a team right now, maybe prepping for a major strategy meeting, or if you're just insanely curious about the hidden mechanics behind your favorite apps, today's deep dive is going to completely change how you view group work.
It really is.
We are pulling from a single, incredibly compelling source today. It's an article published on December 14th, 2025, titled, "Our Team Model Design and Development as One Team."
And it's written by Tobias Reidenhag,
Right, Tobias Reidenhag, who is the head of design at Intunio.
which, for context, is a UX design and development studio based in Gothenburg, Sweden.
Yeah. So our mission today is to figure out how the absolute best digital products are built. And, spoiler alert, they aren't built by isolated geniuses locked in a basement.
No, definitely not. And the origin of Intunio's approach is actually what makes it so worth studying.
How so?
Well, this model didn't come from some sterile corporate laboratory. It wasn't born out of abstract management theories.
Or like a rigid framework pushed down by some expensive consulting firm.
Exactly. Tobias Reidenhag makes it very clear that this methodology grew entirely out of hands-on daily work in actual product teams.
So it's battle-tested.
Highly battle-tested. It's a philosophy built on the messy reality of creating digital tools.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the first core concept they tackle essentially demands the complete death of the handover,
Yeah, the handover is practically banned.
which gets right to the heart of why so much software feels so disconnected.
Right, because the fundamental flaw in traditional software development is the separation of design and development into distinct silos.
They're kept totally apart, yeah.
But Intunio operates on a radically different core principle, which is that design and development must live inside the exact same team.
Same team. Meaning, mechanically, what does that look like?
Mechanically, it means they share the exact same backlog.
Okay, and for anyone listening who's outside of tech,
Yeah.
a backlog is essentially the master to-do list for a project.
Exactly. And in a normal company, designers have their own to-do list, right? And developers have a completely separate one.
So they're just checking off different boxes.
Yeah. But at Intunio, there is only one unified master list of priorities. Both disciplines share the responsibility for the final delivery.
That's a huge shift.
It is. What's fascinating here is that this model entirely eliminates the need for handovers and interpretations.
Interpretations. Man, that is where everything falls apart, isn't it?
It's where all the friction lives.
Right, because you have a designer who spends weeks creating a beautiful static concept for like a transparent drop-down menu.
A classic example.
And they
huh?
hand it over to the development team and just walk away.
Their job is done.
Right. But then the developer looks at it and realizes that the database architecture, like the way the data is actually structured and retrieved in the background, makes a transparent, real-time menu take, like 4 seconds to load.
Which is an eternity in web time.
Exactly. So the developer makes an interpretation. They just change it to a solid static menu to save loading time.
Without telling the designer.
Right. So the designer gets frustrated because their vision was compromised, and the user gets this disjointed experience because the two sides never actually talked about the constraints.
That is the exact friction the traditional model creates. Technical constraints clash with the design, and compromises are made in total isolation.
And the final product suffers.
Always. Intunio argues that design decisions should never be made without a deep understanding of the technical implications.
And vice versa. Right.
Exactly. Technical solutions must always be shaped with the user experience in mind.
You know, it makes me think of a traditional relay race.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Like, you run your leg of the race, holding the baton, you sprint, you do your specific job,
Yeah.
and then you reach the next person.
You hand off the baton.
You hand it off, and you are done.
Yeah.
Your responsibility ends the exact second that baton leaves your hand.
Because your only goal in a relay is to run your specific segment as fast as possible.
Right.
Regardless of whether the next runner is actually prepared to take the baton at that speed or at that angle.
Exactly. But in Tunio's model, it's more like a three-legged race.
Oh, a three-legged race.
Right. The designer and the developer have their legs literally tied together from the starting line.
They can't separate.
No, you literally cannot move forward unless you coordinate your steps, communicate constantly, and, like, make trade-offs in real time.
Because if one of you tries to sprint ahead without the other...
And both fall flat on your faces.
Exactly. They are fundamentally tethered to one another throughout the entire life cycle of the project.
Let me push back on this, though, because I am putting myself in the shoes of a project manager listening to this right now. If you tie the designer and the developer together, and they have to agree on everything from day one, doesn't having them argue over every single button, every single animation, every line of code, doesn't that just slow the whole process down to an absolute crawl?
I mean, it's the most common fear managers have.
It sounds exhausting.
It does, and it's the exact reason those traditional silos were built in the first place.
To artificially speed up individual phases.
Exactly. But the source text addresses this directly, and the reality is actually deeply counterintuitive.
How so?
Working together actually creates momentum. Let's look at the actual mechanics of it. Yes, there are more intense discussions up front, but instead of a designer spending 2 weeks perfecting a beautiful animation only to find out it completely drains phone batteries,
Right.
the developer looks at the rough sketch on day one and says, hey, that physics engine is way too heavy for a mobile browser. Let's use a simple CSS transition instead.
So the friction happens at the whiteboard, not in the code.
Precisely. You solve the problem before anyone has spent 80 hours building the wrong thing.
That makes a lot of sense.
By solving those problems together in real time, the team experiences significantly less friction and far fewer misunderstandings down the line.
Because you aren't wasting weeks building a feature only to realize in user testing that it's fundamentally broken.
Right. The speed comes from not having to go backwards.
You're moving slower early on so you never have to hit the brakes later.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of practical sense. But if the designers and developers are locked arm in arm in this three-legged race, moving steadily forward, we have to ask, where does the client fit into this?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Where is the person who is actually funding this product?
Yeah.
Do they just, like, stand at the finish line with a stopwatch, waiting to see what crosses it?
I mean, in traditional agency models, that is often exactly what happens.
Yeah.
The client either waits at the very end or they sit in an ivory tower, just occasionally throwing new demands down at the team.
Which is a nightmare.
Total nightmare. But Intunio radically rethinks this relationship. The customer is placed right in the trenches with the team.
In the trenches.
Yeah. They take on the role of a product owner. They become the central figure for providing the business perspective, setting the strategic direction, and determining the high-level priorities.
Okay, so they're very involved.
Very. But the crucial distinction here is that they are not expected to carry the product forward by themselves.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because decisions in this model are made close to the team and close to reality, not at a distance.
Exactly. The work happens through close daily dialogue.
Daily.
Daily. There is shared planning and regular follow-up. The product owner isn't just a client waiting for a monthly status report.
Right.
They are an active daily participant in the reality of the work. They're in the daily stand-up meetings. They see the roadblocks as they actually happen.
It's like building a custom house.
Okay, I like
So let's say you hire an architect. The traditional handover model is like giving the architect a mood board of houses you like.
Right, some Pinterest picture.
Exactly. You hand over a list of your must-haves, and then you just leave.
You're out.
You go away for 6 months hoping for the best, and you show up when the house is supposedly finished.
And of course,
when you walk in, the kitchen island is facing the wrong way, and the living room windows don't catch the morning sun like you envisioned.
Right, because the architect had to interpret your mood board without you there to provide context.
Exactly. But this Intunio model, it's like you are on the construction site with the architect and the builders every single day,
Hard hat and all.
hard hat and all. You are looking at the wooden framing as it goes up, and you could say, you know what? Now that I see this space in physical reality, let's move that door 2 feet to the left.
Because you're seeing it take shape.
Right. You are tweaking the blueprint collaboratively as the physical space actually takes form.
What Intunio emphasizes is that this daily presence creates what they call a balanced partnership.
Balanced partnership.
Yeah, because you are on the construction site, you see the constraints the builders are facing.
Right. You understand that moving that door 2 feet to the left might require moving a load-bearing beam.
Exactly, which adds a week to the timeline.
And as the product owner, you now have to make a real-time business decision.
Right. Is the placement of that door worth the extra week?
Yeah.
Therefore, the responsibility for the outcome is truly shared. When the product launches, it is a collective success or a collective learning moment.
It completely eliminates that toxic scenario where the client points the finger at the agency for delivering the wrong thing.
Or the agency blames the client for having unclear requirements.
Right. You didn't write a good enough brief.
Exactly. That whole dynamic disappears.
Okay, so we have built this incredibly tight-knit pod. Designers, developers, and the product owner are all moving in lockstep, making decisions in reality.
It's a very strong core.
It sounds fantastic for, like, a 2-week sprint where everyone is highly focused. But autonomy has a fatal flaw, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, it breeds a bubble. If you only ever work with the exact same small group of people over the lifespan of a 2-year project, how do you ensure the overall quality doesn't drift?
Oh, okay.
Right? How does an organization maintain high standards without a boss constantly looking over everyone's shoulder and micromanaging the day-to-day work?
That brings us to the concept of the dedicated project team and what Intunio calls quality without control.
Quality without control.
Yes. The heart of their model is keeping this cross-functional team together over the long haul. They emphasize that the team needs to know the product intimately, but equally important, they need to know each other.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
There is a whole unspoken language teams develop when they work together long enough.
Completely.
Like, you know exactly how a specific developer likes to receive their design files.
Or you know the specific way a designer approaches problem solving.
Right.
And because this team stays intact over the long term, they build a massive reservoir of shared understanding.
So they aren't starting from scratch every time.
Exactly. When a new feature is requested or a market constraint changes, they don't have to start from square one.
Right. They don't have to spend a month onboarding a new group of developers who have no idea why certain design decisions were made a year ago.
Which happens all the time in traditional setups. But here, this continuity makes the work incredibly efficient. The delivery responsibility and the actual creation of quality lives entirely inside this autonomous team.
But wait, if the team is completely autonomous, where do the senior leaders actually fit in?
Right. The bosses.
Yeah. Intunio mentions these back office roles, like the design director and the chief technology officer. What are they actually doing all day if they aren't managing the team?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where Intunio really redefines leadership in a creative tech environment. The back office is designed to provide that quality without control.
Okay.
Their mandate is explicitly not to manage the day-to-day work. Instead, they act as an overarching support system.
Support system. Like what?
Well, they provide UX reviews, meaning they evaluate the entire user journey and flow, not just whether the individual buttons look nice.
They're looking at the forest, not the trees.
Exactly. They offer high-level architectural guidance for the software, they help with complex technical decisions, and they provide process support.
So they are an extra layer of seasoned experience.
Yes.
I have to challenge the reality of this, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because human nature is a very real thing in corporate environments.
True.
It sounds beautiful on a slide deck to say quality without control. But let's be real, isn't it incredibly tempting for a highly experienced CTO to just swoop in, push a junior developer aside, take the keyboard, and just fix the code themselves when a project hits a massive snag?
Oh, it is the ultimate temptation for any technical leader.
Right, because it's just faster.
It is much faster in the short term just to do it yourself, but the text is very specific about this boundary.
How does it reconcile that urge?
It states that the back office provides quality assurance without becoming a bottleneck or taking over ownership from the team. The structure strictly mandates that leaders act as a safety net, not as saviors.
Oh, I like that. Because if they swoop in, they break the psychological ownership.
Entirely. If a CTO swoops in and fixes the problem themselves, they have immediately stripped the team of their autonomy and their shared responsibility.
Right. The team learns that when things get truly difficult, someone else will just bail them out.
Exactly. It creates learned helplessness. By restricting the back office to guidance, questioning, and review, Intunio ensures that the core team retains ownership.
So what does that look like in practice?
The CTO might look at the code and ask, hey, have you considered how this database query will scale when we hit 100,000 users?
They guide the team to the answer.
Yes. The team learns how to solve the problem with the CTO's advice, which builds capacity and ensures long-term consistency.
It is about mentoring, not dictating.
Ex-
Okay, so we have a stable, autonomous team, a deeply involved client, and senior leadership acting as a supportive safety net.
Right.
That is a brilliant ecosystem for everyday work. But Tobias Reidenkag writes in the article that digital products rarely evolve in a straight line.
Which is the understatement of the century in tech.
Seriously. So what happens when this perfectly stable team suddenly needs something totally outside their wheelhouse?
Right, something unexpected.
Yeah. See, halfway through the project, the client realizes they need an incredibly complex 3D animation or a highly niche database architecture built from scratch.
Yeah.
If the core philosophy is that you never break the team, how do you handle a sudden need for highly specialized skills?
This is where many rigid organizational models completely fall apart.
I bet.
When faced with a sudden need for a niche skill, traditional companies usually do one of two things. They either force the existing team to learn a completely new skill on the fly.
Which destroys quality and slows everything down.
Absolutely. Or they pause the project,
Yeah.
blow up the team structure, and reorganize everything just to bring a new department in.
Right.
But Intunio solves this with what they call the extended Intunio team.
Okay. How does the extended team function mechanically?
They recognize that needs will shift and new insights will emerge. To handle this without destroying the continuity we just talked about, they bring in specialized experts like a motion designer, a 3D artist, or a niche tech specialist.
Right.
But they only bring them in for as long as they are absolutely required.
Oh, okay.
These specialists integrate seamlessly into the workflow to deliver their specific piece of the puzzle.
So they attend the daily stand-ups.
Yep, they attend stand-ups, they work from the exact same shared backlog, and once that specific need is met, they step back out.
It is exactly like a long-running TV sitcom.
A sitcom. Okay, tell me more.
Think about your favorite comedy, right? The core cast, which is the project team, stays exactly the same season after season. They have their inside jokes, their chemistry is perfect, and that consistency is what gives the show its heart and its reliability.
Yeah.
You tune in because you know how those specific characters will interact.
Right, the core cast provides the stability and the forward momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes the plot needs a massive jolt of energy or like a very specific storyline. So the producers bring in a famous guest star.
Ah, the guest star.
Yeah. The guest star drops in for a multi-episode arc. They elevate the plot, they do their specific brilliant comedic thing, and then their character moves away.
And the show doesn't have to reboot.
Exactly. They don't have to change the title, and the core cast doesn't lose their momentum just because a guest star appeared.
That's a great analogy. And the business value of operating like a sitcom cast is actually massive.
Really?
Yeah. The source text highlights that because of this extended team system, there are no reorganizations.
Wow.
There are no painfully slow internal negotiations to restructure the working model. The core team remains completely intact, and the collaboration just continues flowing seamlessly.
From a practical business perspective, though, that must raise eyebrows for clients regarding budgets and billing.
How so?
Well, guest stars aren't cheap. Doesn't bringing in specialized talent randomly blow up the project budget?
It would if you had to hire them full-time or attain a massive bloated agency just in case you eventually needed 3D work.
Right, paying for overhead you aren't using.
Exactly. But Intunio argues this model actually optimizes the budget.
Yeah.
You are only paying for that highly specialized 3D artist for the precise 14 days you need them to build the animation.
Oh, that makes total sense.
It allows the focus and the competence of the group to adapt instantly to handle complex new realities, but without ever sacrificing the stability that makes them so efficient in the first place.
It is flexibility without the friction.
Perfectly said.
So what does this all mean? If we take a step back and look at everything Tobias Reidenhag has outlined, the complete death of handovers, the client operating in the trenches as a true partner, the supportive back office acting as a safety net, and the sitcom-style extended team, it becomes incredibly clear. How a team is organized physically and structurally tells you absolutely everything about how that company views collaboration.
It really does. Intunio doesn't see itself as a supplier handing over isolated pieces of a puzzle.
No.
They have engineered their entire corporate structure to be a true partner in building things together.
This raises an important question.
It does. It raises an important question for you, the listener, regardless of what industry you happen to work in. Look closely at your own workplace, your own daily projects.
Right.
Are the structures you operate within genuinely built around true integrated collaboration? Or are they just built around resource allocation?
Like moving human resources from one spreadsheet to another.
Exactly. Just hoping the distinct silos somehow magically produce a unified, polished result at the end. Because, as Intunio points out, strong products are not built just by gathering the right individual skills.
No.
They're built by teams that are structurally supported to work well together over time.
We have seen how powerful this zero handover, one team model is for software and digital design. But imagine applying this exact Intunio mindset to other vital parts of your life, or even to society at large.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Think about our healthcare systems. Patients are constantly handed over from a general practitioner to a specialist to a surgeon to physical therapy.
Just endless handovers.
Endless. And context, nuance, and vital information are lost at every single stop.
Right.
What if our hospitals operated like this? What if you had one dedicated cross-functional team handling your well-being, sharing the exact same backlog and priorities from day one, with surgical specialists just dropping in as guest stars when needed?
That would change everything.
It really makes you look at every process, every service, and every collaboration in your life a little differently. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of great teamwork. Keep questioning how the things around you are built, and we will catch you next time.